Yeah, good morning, everybody. Today is the 23rd class. What we have done in the last class is we have seen the different types of, we have started with the third module in which we are learning JavaScript. JavaScript is a client-side scripting language. It is more or less similar to, one second, there is a little internet problem. Yeah, I think it is solved now. So it is more or less similar to other programming languages. It has got variables, it has got control statements, it has got looping statements, and so on. It has got operators, arithmetic operators, relational operators, and then logical operators, all that. Conditional operators are the if then else condition and all that. So we will quickly, because you people have already studied what is the if else statement in other programming languages. Same concept here in JavaScript also, but what you have to learn here is only the syntax. So if you see the syntax of if else statement in JavaScript, it is similar to any other programming language. So what we do is we write if, a simple parenthesis, then we write the condition here. And then we have a flower bracket opening and then the flower bracket closing. So whatever is in between these two flower brackets is the if block. Then we have the else block, else flower bracket closing. Now this is else if, actually this is else if, so there has to be one more condition. Then after that, again, one flower bracket opens, closes the flower bracket. So whatever is in between that is the else if block. And finally, the else block is there. The bracket opens, the bracket close, flower brackets. And then whatever is in between these flower brackets is the else block. So in the else block or in the if block or here, wherever in this parenthesis, a flower brackets, how many statements are there? It can contain one statement, two statements, it can contain 100 statements, 1,000 statements. It does not matter, okay? This flower brackets can contain any number of statements inside it. Depends upon what type of program you are writing. Okay. Now, if you look at this example here, I have declared two variables: hour of the day and greeting. So, if the hour of the day is more than 4 and hour of the day is less than 12, okay, more than 4 means this is morning 4 o'clock till afternoon 12 o'clock. It is good morning. The greeting should be good morning. Else, if the hour of the day is more than 12 and if it is less than 20, in that case we say good afternoon. Okay, we say good afternoon, else then we say good evening. Okay, so basically this is a small program only to show you exactly how the if else statement basically works. Okay, we will write more programs using JavaScript later on, but we are learning the conditional statement. So we have the if else statement. You can see the syntax of if else statement in JavaScript. Then comes loops. What is the meaning of a loop? I need not tell you. You have studied this in C, C++, Java, Python. Almost in all programming languages, you have loops. What is a loop? If you want to execute a set of code or multiple statements multiple times, then you use the loops. And the most commonly used loops is the while loop, and we have the for loop. How to write the while loop in JavaScript? We will learn. It's quite simple. First of all, I declare a variable here using the var keyword. In JavaScript, you know that we don't have integers, string, float. No, we have only var I is equals to 0. I becomes a variable of integer now. So while I is less than 10, I plus plus, and then I can write something here. Now, so this particular body of the loop will get executed 10 times. Because every time the value of I is getting incremented by 1, in the first iteration, it will be 0. In the second iteration, it will be 1. Third iteration, it will be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then the moment it becomes 10, it will come out. Okay, so I hope you know how the while loop works. Next comes the for loop. For loop is similar to C, C++, all that, except that here you have var instead of integer I or integer X. Any variable we initialize it to integer, no? So, but here we write var. So, but if you have already declared this I on the top here, var I, no problem. So you can simply write for I is equals to 0 semicolon till I is less than 10 semicolon I plus plus. And then you open the flower bracket, then you close the flower bracket, and then you write the statements here. Whatever is written between the flower brackets will get executed depending upon what is the value of I. In the first iteration of the I, the value of I will be 0. In the second iteration, it will be 1 because every time I is getting incremented by 1. So on till I becomes equals to 10, and then it will stop the loop. Initialization, condition, increment and decrement. This is the statement. Same as other for loops in other programming languages. Okay, so I'm not going to go into detail of this. Let us go further. Let us try to understand what are functions. Functions, you know, functions are a set of statements that is written separately, and then whenever you want to call or execute those set of statements, you call the function by its name. How to define a function in JavaScript? Let us learn the syntax. In other programming languages, let us first see. What we do is we first tell whether the function is public, private, or protected, all that. And then after that, we have the return type of the function. The function has to return something. If the function does not return anything, then I will write void there. If the function returns integer, I will write int. If the function returns floating point number, then I write float, and so on. So first we write access specifier, public, protected, private, then we write the return type, then we write the name of the function, and then into parentheses we write the parameters. And then we also specify the types of the parameters, int a, comma, int b, comma, int c, like that we write it in brackets. That is a typical way of defining a function in other programming languages. In JavaScript, how do we define it is we use a keyword called as function. We use a keyword called as function, 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 followed by the name of the function, then followed by the parameters. So how is this declaration different from other programming languages? First of all, other programming languages will not have a keyword called as function, but in JavaScript, you need this keyword. Then in other programming languages, you have a return type, int, float, but here, no, not required. Even if the function is returning something, you don't have to specify what type of data it is returning. You don't have to. And then comes the name of the function, no problem. And then after that, the parameter list. In other programming languages, if x is the parameter, we specify the type of x, int x or float x, int y or float y. We write the type also, but here you don't write any type for these parameters. You simply write x, comma, y. That's it. So we have keyword function, name, parameter list without type, open the flower bracket, close the flower bracket. Whatever is in between the flower bracket is the body of the function. Okay, and what is there in the function? This is the function where I pass two parameters, x and y, and then it gives me the power of that. So x raised to y, x to the power of y. What is the value? That is calculated basically over here, you can see. So power is initialized to 1, and then I take a loop from 0 to y. Then I say power into x, and then I keep that into power. So every time the value of x is getting multiplied with this y, and finally what I get is a power. If I say 2, here you have an example here. 2 comma 10, if I say, it gives me 2 raised to 10. So 2 into 2 into 2 into 2, 10 times. This is what the function is doing. And then finally it returns it. I use the keyword return and then power. Power is now the calculation of x raised to y. So that value is in power, I return it back. Okay, so we return back. So basically you are now supposed to learn only the syntax of how to write functions in JavaScript. Don't go into the logic of this program. You can write in the examination if they ask you how are functions defined in JavaScript. So you should be able to write, first you write a function keyword followed by the name, then the parameter list without type, then write some body here. You don't have to write the power function only. You write something else. Find whether the number is even or odd, return back even or odd, something like that you can write, no problem. Understand the syntax of how to declare functions in JavaScript. Okay, then comes alert function. The alert function is used for displaying something. We have already used the alert function in JavaScript. You remember, it is used for displaying a small pop-up message box. It is used for displaying a simple pop-up message box. Okay, for displaying something to the user in a pop-up message box, we use the alert function. Okay, so whatever I say alert into bracket, whatever details I write here in the parentheses will get displayed to me as it is. If it is in double quotes, it will be displayed to me as it is, no problem. If I want to declare the value of a variable, simply without the double quotes, I have to write the name of the variable, so it will display the value of that variable in a pop-up message box. Small, it will pop up, the value, whatever you want to display will get displayed, and below that there will be an OK button. You have to click on that OK button, and then the alert message box will disappear. So the alert method, the pop-up may appear different to each user defined on the browser. So now depending upon Internet Explorer and all that, it may appear different. So what is being trying to say here is that in different browsers, you know, the alert message box appear differently. Now let us write one example and see how this appears differently. So if I have me HTML here, and then I have the body tag here, then I will have the h1 tag, And then let me see if I already have this file instead of typing everything. Oh my God, one second. File, I'll open the file. Where is web? It is in the D drive. Web, and then here JavaScript test1, test2, test3. Yeah, there it is. So I have JavaScript test1. So this is, yeah. This is all that. I will open last one. Yeah, this is better. So what I have, yeah, I've written my JavaScript in external file. So this is an example of that external file, no? Okay. So I will remove this. Okay, I'll do one thing. I'll open JavaScript 2. Yeah, this is better. So I've written my JavaScript here. So when I have my, so you can see that it displays me. It displays me hello. So the moment I open this file, it displays me hello world. I will open this in Chrome. Okay, first I will open this in Chrome. So web, and then this is JavaScript 2. So when I double click on that, by default my Chrome opens up and then it displays me this. So the message box, the alert box in Chrome, this is how it appears. Okay, it displays me hello world. It appears like this. If I refresh this, hello world, like this. So this is how it appears in Chrome. Now I will do one thing. Okay, I will do one thing. I will see if I have Firefox. Yeah, Firefox browser is there. So when I open that, by the way, Firefox is not my default browser. My default browser is Chrome. So every time I double click on HTML page, it opens always in Chrome only. Different computers, different PCs, different people will have different, they like different browsers. Some people will use Opera, some people will like Firefox, some people will like Internet Explorer and so on. So here, I will just copy this file URL. I will type it here and then enter. Yeah, the moment I press on enter, so you can see that the hello, see how this alert box appear in Firefox. It is a little different. In Chrome, how it was coming. In Chrome, if I refresh, it was coming here on the top, but in Firefox, this is how it comes. I say, okay, I refresh this, again that comes. And let us see how it appears in Internet Explorer. I have Internet Explorer browser also. Everybody will have this. If you have installed, Windows in your computer, you will have that. So I will paste the URL, enter. Sorry. Okay, there is some JavaScript that is disabled. Yeah, now I have enabled that, so that's why you are able to see that. I say okay. Now if I refresh this, you can see this is how it appears in Internet Explorer. So you can see three different things. If I refresh here, this is how it appears. In Chrome, this is how it appears. So in Chrome, Firefox, Chrome again, and Internet Explorer. Okay, so we close all these browsers. So that is what is meant by this, the alert method. The pop-up may appear different in each user depending upon their browser configuration. Okay, all that. So alerts are not used in production code, all that. Errors using try and catch. Yeah, once we have learned the different types of programming concepts of JavaScript, how to define functions, how to write while loop, for loop, what is the alert function. Let us now directly go to what is exception handling in JavaScript. Okay, let us not waste time because we are not going to waste much time on learning the syntax of JavaScript. It is all known. I mean, if condition we know, while loop we know, for loop we know. What you have to learn is only the syntax of JavaScript. That's it. Now, how to catch errors in JavaScript? JavaScript also has the concept of try and catch. Okay, so if you are writing a code and if you know that there is some place where there may be some sort of an error, you always put that into the try block. And then if there exists the error, it will automatically execute the catch block. So how do we write the try and catch block in JavaScript? We write try, try, try is a keyword, open the flower brackets, then write the code which you think may result into a runtime error. Okay, it can contain one statement, it can contain two statements, three statements, 10, 100,000. The try block can contain any number of statements. If in the try block anytime a runtime error occurs, it will execute the catch block. Okay, so this is simple. We have already learned the try and catch block. We can also throw our own exceptions by using the throw keyword. We can write the try block, then check your condition. If the condition, check your condition, okay? In the try block, check your own condition. Read this X from the user. And if the X is less than 0, then you can throw an exception. You can throw an exception. explicitly by using the throw block. So when you say throw, automatically the catch block will get executed. Now this throw will always be under some condition. This throw will always be under some condition. Only if this condition occurs, throw an error, throw an error. And then the catch block will get executed and then you can display it. Okay, so basically you can throw your own exceptions using try and catch block. So that's it about exception handling in JavaScript. Try and catch block, and you can throw your own exceptions. Now comes JavaScript objects. Very important from an examination's point of view. They will ask you explain any two objects of JavaScript. What is an object in JavaScript? I have already told you initially that JavaScript is not an object-oriented programming language, but it is an object-based programming language. JavaScript is definitely an object-based programming language. What it means is, in JavaScript, major things are considered as objects. Major things are considered as objects. From the definition of an object, you have studied object-oriented programming language. What is an object? Whenever you have a class, you can create an object of a class. When you create an object of a class, through the object of that class, what do? You can invoke some functions, methods of that class by using the dot operator. So when you have a class, you can create an object of that class. And then once you create an object of that class, through the object, you can invoke methods of that class. You can access public members of that class. Okay, you know this. The concept of objects in JavaScript is also the same. You can access public members of the class which is already defined. You are not supposed to define any class. These classes are already defined. We are talking about built-in objects of JavaScript. Whenever we say objects, then the concept of constructor will come into picture. Okay, because whenever you create an object of a class, how do you create it? You write the name of the class is equals to new class, and then you have parentheses. And depending upon the parentheses, the constructors will be called. Then when it comes to objects, you have concept of properties and methods. What is a method? Methods are all the functions that are there in the class, public functions of the class, which you can invoke using the object. Okay, so constructors are when you instantiate a class. Properties and methods are the ones which you invoke using the object. Let us see first what is a constructor. You know that whenever you create an object, you first declare it like this in JavaScript, var. Even objects are declared with the variable, the keyword var, followed by the name of the object, is equals to, you write new. Whenever you create a new object of a class, you write new, then the name of the class you write down, and then into parentheses you pass some parameters. So now this object name and parentheses, this part is what will invoke the constructor. This part is what will invoke the constructor. We are not going to learn object-oriented programming. You should only know what is the meaning of a constructor. Whenever you instantiate an object, remember that you can invoke a constructor by passing parameters or by may not passing parameters. You know that there is parameterized constructors, parameterless constructors, so that constructors will be invoked through this name here. Now, you can see that for this particular example here, it will invoke the constructor whose name is object name and which will have 1, 2, and n parameters. You will understand this when we take an example. Okay, so but right now remember that constructor is something when you constructor is something which will get executed when you instantiate a class or when you create an object of a class. Then comes properties. Properties are something which are public members of the class. Property, you can assign a value. A property is something to which you assign a value. To whatever you can assign a value is called as a property. For example, let us say I have a class in which there is a variable called as x. If I am able to assign some value to that variable x, then it is called as a property. Something to which you can assign a value. Now what I'm going to write here is I'm going to write a simple example here, okay, to make you understand what is the meaning of a property. Let us say I have a class. I'm writing a Java, okay, I'm writing Java class. So I have a class here called as test. And in this test class, let us say I have a public integer variable x. Okay, public integer variable x. And then I have a public function called as display. That's it. Simple Java class system.out.println x. I have a very simple class. Okay, I have a very simple. I'm not going to execute this anyhow. I have a very simple class, and then let us say I have one more class in this file called as use test. Okay, and then here I have my public static void main string a and all that. Okay, I hope you understood what I'm doing. I have the public static void main in use test, and there is one more class there, and there is one more class there. So now in this, what I do is I instantiate the test class. So I test t is equals to new test. Okay, so test, if there is a constructor in this test, if I've written a constructor in this test here, then that will get executed. But since I've not written the constructor, it will not get executed. I'm not here to teach you Java. What I'm explaining to you is the meaning of a property. Now, if I say, if I do t.x is equals to 100, first of all, tell me, is this possible or not? If I write t.x, what is t? T is an object of that class. And I'm doing t dot, I'm using a dot operator. And I am saying x, let it be equals to 100. First of all, is it possible for me to invoke or use this variable x through the object? I don't see any problem here. I don't see any problem. Why? Because t is an object, no problem. Dot operator is also fine. X is possible to access x. X is possible. Why? Because it is public, no problem. X is public. X is public. So I can access it through the object, no problem. And then I can put some value into that variable x. So 100 is put into that x. Okay. And now if I say t dot display, if I say t dot display, what is the display function doing? First of all, tell me, is it possible to invoke the display function through the object t? Yes, I think there is no problem because even display function is the public function. And if t is the object of test class, which is true, then I can even invoke display. And what will the display function do? It will display what is the value of x. And what is the value of x? What value of put into x? 100. So remember that x now in this example, x is the property because I'm able to assign it some value. Similarly, I can also do this. I can also do this. I can declare a variable here called as sum. I can also use a variable called as sum, and then I can do sum is equals to t dot x plus t dot x. So I am accessing the x value of t, that is 100, which I've initialized here, and I'm adding 100 plus 100, which I'm putting into sum, and then after that I can do system.out.println. I can even display the value of sum. So what I'm able to do to a property is I'm able to assign it some value, and I am also able to access the value of that variable. So anything to which you can assign a value or you can access the value is called as a property. So x is termed to be a property of the class test. And if I call this function display, if I call this function t.display, if I call the function display. Now display is a method of test. So when you call a function of test, it is called as a method. When you use a variable of that class and assign it some value, it is called as a property. So in this example, I have shown you both. What is the meaning of a method? Method is nothing but the function of the class which you invoke through the object. And I've also explained to you what is a property. Property is the public members, variables, public variables of a class. Okay. I'm not going to execute this, but this is the idea of properties and methods. Let us go back here. What is a property? Each object might have properties that can be accessed depending upon its definition. All that through the dot notation we access it. We access it through the dot notation and dot operator or dot notation. And then if to access a property, it should be a public property. If let us say here I've defined that, oh, I deleted that, no problem. So if I define that variable x as private, then it is not possible to access it through the object. You know that, okay? So that is a property. So all that is written there. Then what is a method? A method is something which will which will do something. Okay, which methods are basically the functions that you declare in a class. That example also I've given you. So display in the previous example which I showed you was a method. Now let us learn what are the different types of built-in objects which are available in JavaScript. The different types of objects that are available in JavaScript, the major ones we are going to study. First is an array. Array is an object. In JavaScript, remember, array is an object, which means that array, when you declare, has got methods and properties. Similarly, Boolean is an object. Date is an object. Math is an object. String is an object. And there are a few more, but these are the objects which we are going to study into detail. Array, Boolean, date, math, and string. Then DOM, of course, DOM, DOM. Yeah, sorry for that delay. Now, now what we have is we have to now learn these built-in objects, the array, Boolean, date, math, string objects. We have to learn these objects in detail. We have to learn this. So first we will start with the arrays. How to declare an array? We declare an array like this by writing var followed by the name of the array. A new operator is required, and then what is this greetings? It is an array object. So we have to write the array keyword and parenthesis for the constructor. To initialize the array with values, then we can use a different constructor. We can say var greetings is equals to new array, var greetings is equals to new array, and then we can write good morning, good afternoon, and all that. So now it will create a new array whose names is greetings, and then the elements of the arrays will be good morning, good afternoon. There are two elements of the array. So basically, greetings is defined with two elements, good morning and good afternoon. This is one way of declaring an array. This is one way of declaring an array, or you can also declare an array like this: var greetings is equal to directly write square brackets and write down the elements of the array. Okay, so this is another way of declaring the array. var greetings is equals to good morning and then good afternoon. So learn the two different ways of declaring arrays. One is by using the new keyword and the array constructor, and the other one is directly. So in the examination, they will ask you a question. I have seen sometimes they ask you, which are the different ways, or what are the different ways of declaring an array? So here already in the screen, you can see that there are three different ways of declaring an array. One, by writing var greetings new array without an element in the elements of the array. Another is array with some elements of the array. And third is by using the square brackets. Now next is how to access and traverse. If I want to access the first element of the array, I write greetings of 0. Array greetings of 0. It will give me the first element of the array. It will give me the first element of the array. Greetings of 1 will give me the second element of the array, and so on. Just like any other arrays, you can access even these arrays also. These arrays, just like other programming languages, you use an index. You use an index to access. The first element of the array can be accessed at index 0. The second element of the array can be accessed at index 1, and so on. So if I say alert greetings of 0, it will display good morning. Alert greetings of 0 will display good morning and on. If I want to traverse, go through all the elements of the array, then I can take a loop like this. For I is equals to 0, starting from 0 till I is less than greetings.length. So there is a built-in property. There is a built-in property of array called as length. Now length is a property. Okay, how do you identify property and method? Is if there is a opening and closing of simple parenthesis after this, then it is a method. If there is no parenthesis, then it is a property. So if I say greetings.length, what will this property give me? It will give me a value. And what is that value? It will give me the length of that array. It will give me the length of the array. Okay, it will give me the length of the array. Greetings.length will give me the length of the array. Remember, length is not a method, it is a property. Length of the array is 2. So starting from 0 till 2, I plus plus, so 0 and 1. So both the elements of the array will get displayed. Now here, there are a few more methods of arrays that we have to learn. Since array is an object, remember array is an object, and object has got methods and properties. One property we have learned already of the array, that is length, and now we will learn some methods of the array object. If I want to modify an array, I can add elements to the array. Initially, how many elements we had in the array? We had only 2 elements in the array. Good morning and good afternoon. If I want to add one more element, good evening, so I simply use different methods to do it. So here you can see that I can use the push method. If I say greetings, which is an array, dot operator, push, greetings dot push, good evening, greetings dot push, good evening, if I write, so this element will be added to the array. So good morning is the first element, good afternoon is the second element, and good evening, which was pushed now, becomes the third element of the array. So the push method is used. So we have to learn how many objects are there, and we have to learn. So for example, now that we are learning the arrays object, first we learned length method, which was a property, or rather I will write it like this. Properties, first is length, then methods. First we learned method is push, and the second method, let us see, first method is push that we learned, and then we have concat method, slice method, join method, reverse method, shift method, sort method. So these are different methods of arrays. Okay, so we have the concat, then we have the slice, and we have reverse, shift, and finally the sort method. And apart from this, there are so many, but these are the important ones. Push will push an element to that. What do you think concat method will do? The concat method will concatenate 2 arrays. It will concatenate 2 arrays. What will the slice method do? It will slice the array. If I have 3 elements in the array, or I have 10 elements in the array, from the second element till the 6th element, I want to slice that array and create a new array, then we use the slice method. Join will join 2 arrays. There is a difference between concat and join. Reverse will, of course, reverse the elements of the array. Shift will remove an element from the array. Sort will sort the element in ascending order. Okay, all that. We will see examples of this later on, since it is not given here in the textbook. Don't worry much about that. We will see in the future, it will be given. Okay. Then comes the math method. I will continue with the math method in the next class. There are only 2 minutes remaining now. Math is also an object. Math has got some built-in methods. Max is one, min is another, POW, power, square root, exponent, then tangent to find the tangent, sine, cos, and tangent to find all that. These all are methods which are present in the math object. So how to use it, when to use it, all that we will see it in the next class. Okay, so we will stop here today. Okay, if you have any doubts, you can please chat and ask me. Any doubts are there, or simply just reply back, no doubts. We will stop here today. Just chat back. If you have any doubts, you can please ask. Okay, some interaction you do. Let me see a few people. And then I just wanted to tell you people about what are you going to do about the internship. All that we will discuss first. Yeah, Akshata replied back saying that there are no doubts. Thank you for replying, Akshata. So we will stop here today.